If you're coming to Kenya on safari, you're likely wondering about internet. How much does it cost? Will you be able to access Wi-Fi? Um, what kind of networks are available? Things like those. And that's what this video is about. Okay, so most likely you're coming to Kenya on safari. Many of the people who come to Kenya, majority of them come to Kenya on safari. And one of the things that we have in the modern world is that you want to keep your smartphone connected and you want to be able to see what's going on in the outside world. And most likely you still want to also post your safari and things that are going on. So if you see interesting picture, if you take an interesting picture, you want to share that awesomeness immediately. So good news is that Kenya has really good internet connection for anyone who is coming. And so let me walk you through what you need to have when coming to Kenya and using internet. So the first thing is the question of, so the first question you might have is internet. Is it even available? And what kind? Well, I don't know whether there are any different kinds of internet, but we have really good, strong internet connection in most places, especially in the cities. Now, the main way that most Kenyans use to connect to the internet is through the normal data plans provided by the internet service providers, by the telcos, the telecommunication companies here in Kenya. Now, the main way that I personally connect to the internet is through a network called Airtel and Safaricom. Those are the two networks that I use. Now, for you as a tourist, I would recommend that you use Safaricom. Now, Safaricom is the biggest network in Kenya, biggest telco in Kenya, and they have a very wide coverage with very strong network. Now, both Airtel and Safaricom have 4G connectivity. So you are able to connect on 4G on in most of the places, especially in cities. Now, the thing about Safaricom though, is that their 4G connectivity is stronger and more consistent, especially outside of cities. Now, if you're coming to Kenya on safari, you most likely are going to come to the city first, but spend very little time there. It's most likely that after that, you're going to go to a place like Masai Mara, you're going to go to Amboseli, like Nakuru, and these places, though some of them are near cities, like Nakuru National Park is near a city, but they are not going to be having as good a connection as places like Nairobi, the capital city. And so the reason why you should not choose Airtel is primarily because they are really good in the city, but not so good when you get out of the city. And for you as a tourist, you're going to be outside of the city most often when you're here on safari. So how do you get connected on Safaricom? Now that I've advised you that you take Safaricom, how do you get connected? Now, you will need something called a SIM card. I'm sure you already know SIM cards if that's the kind of networks you use. And you will need a phone that can connect to international networks. Now, we use GSM. I hope I'm right in saying that. But we use GSM, the GSM network. And so if you have a SIM card that is compatible with GSM networks, and you have a phone that is compatible with GSM networks back at home, then it's most likely that you can just take your phone with you and just buy a SIM card when you arrive. Now, so when you arrive, you most likely are going to want to get connected immediately. Now, within the airport at JKIA, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, there are going to be places where you can buy SIM cards. And you would need to have your passport with you to register because every SIM card needs to be registered. And even if you don't get to buy it at the airport, if you talk to your driver, your the taxi driver or the tours and travels company, they should be able to help you get a SIM card right away. It's a process that takes less than 5 minutes to register for that SIM card, and all you need is your passport, and that's it. Now, once you purchase your SIM card, you will need to purchase the data plan. Now, our data plans are not like in a contract. What you do is buy airtime. You buy credits, basically. And so when you're buying the SIM card, you need to ask them about credits. And you'll probably want to spend somewhere in the regions. If you're an average data user, then 1,000 shillings should be sufficient for you. If you are on the heavier side and you'll be uploading a lot of videos, you probably want to consider something in the regions of 2,000 shillings. That's roughly around $20 worth of airtime. Now, do not use, okay, when you put in the airtime, the credits on your phone, you can actually be able to browse with them, but it's not normally the most efficient way of using your data. You can subscribe to a data plan that gives you like a bulk, a bundle of like GBs, and I would assume like 2,000 shillings should give you, well, I'm not sure on this, and this, depending on when you're watching this video, these figures will have changed, but I suspect that 2 GB should be able to give you 2,000 shillings should be able to give you somewhere in the regions of around 10 GB from Safaricom. And I think that should be sufficient for you. If you're on the heavier side, you can probably consider like doing like $30. I will give you roughly in the regions of like 15 GB or so to 20 GB of data. And I'm sure that will be sufficient if you're here for just a few days. The thing about it is that the internet is it's pretty fast. And so, well, fast in our standards. I'm sure you probably have faster internet, probably not, depending on where you're coming from. But you will want to move quickly, and Safaricom enables you to do that. One thing I would want to warn you though is that even though Safaricom has a very strong network in many of the places, it's possible that when you go to remote places like in the middle of Masai Mara, that your internet connectivity may not be that good. And that's where you now need to rely on something like Wi-Fi. Now, about Wi-Fi, I'm sure you already know this. You don't want to connect to Wi-Fi networks which you don't know. And so if you're going to connect to any Wi-Fi, you will find a lot of Wi-Fi. Throughout the whole of Kenya, you'll find a lot of Wi-Fi available. I would not advise you to use all of them because, again, hackers exist even here in Kenya, and you might want to be careful about that. If your hotel has Wi-Fi, especially in Masai Mara, well, good for you, because it most likely is connected through satellite or something, and it will be fast enough to use. So it's hit or miss if you get to very remote areas like Masai Mara, like in the heart of Masai Mara. But for the most part, when you're traveling throughout the country, and I'm sure probably in most parts of Masai Mara, you should be able to still have a good network. But that's the options you have. So should you carry your own phone? Yes, carry your own phone. Don't buy one here because it may not work with what you have at home if you come and buy. And then again, why do you want to buy a new phone if you already have something that is already working for you? iPhones work. It doesn't really matter whether it's iPhone or Android, it will work with the network here as long as it's GSM and it allows international SIM cards. It should work. Okay, so that's all you need to know. If you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the comment section below. So tell me if you have any other questions. If you have a topic that you want to suggest, if you have something about Kenya you want to learn, ask. I'm going to be doing more of these kinds of videos where I tell you things about Kenya, things that you may be interested in learning, things about our culture, things about accessibility, is the water safe to drink, things like those. I'm going to be posting more of those kinds of videos in the future. But in case you want to suggest a topic that may miss my list, just tell me about it and I'm going to create a video for it. So thank you so much for watching this. Until next time, this is Anthony. You're watching East Africa Travel Tips. Keep traveling.